gas training, how an ideal Vogue works. My name's Hart, and in today's video we've got an ideal Vogue. I've actually saved this ideal Vogue from a skip. The scrapman had this ideal Vogue and they were just going to wait in, scrap it. So I've saved it, I've bought it off the scrapman. I've actually paid £50 for this ideal Vogue so that I could do this video for you today. So what we're going to do in this video, I'm going to show you how it works. We'll look at the internal components. This is a first generation, so we'll look at the diverter valve. I'll show you how that works. Try and explain that to you the best I can. Also, we're going to strip some of the boiler down. We'll test some of the components with a multimeter as well. So referring back to some of the videos we've done with Viva, with Roy, with Viva Training Academy. Some really good videos in our Viva playlist. So if you want to know more about gas training or how boilers work, etc., click into that. Click into the Viva Training Academy playlist, and in that playlist we've got lots and lots of videos, and you can just choose which ones would help you. Without further ado, let's take the case off and have a look inside this boiler. And if you could give this video a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate that. And also if you could click the bell, subscribe and ring that bell. Thank you. So what we'll do, we'll start off with the basics. I'm going to fully strip this down for you today in this video, and I'll show you some testing, some videos that we've got on testing gas valves. We'll also look at diverter valve, how that works, go through all components, show you components, and just try and in this video put as much together as I can for you. So if you are a new trainee, then hopefully this video will be really good for you, because it'll show you the components. And then what I'll try and do as well is I'll give you some tips as we go along, or I'll try my best. But if you do have any questions, please put them in the comments below. And it really does help if you put some comments below. So if you've got note to say, just put ideal Vogue or something like that, because it just really helps with the video. So first of all, if we start with the condensate trap, and if we have a look there on the condensate trap, it's got a little clip there, so you need to turn the trap. So if we just take this pipe off, and then what we're going to do, we'll just turn this trap, pull it towards us, and then this will just lift out, and that's your condensate trap. So as I say, that's the condensate trap, and if you want to know more about how these work, then please put a comment below. I can talk a bit about more about it later on in the video if you like, but we'll have a look at some more of the components first. One thing I'd like to point out is I'm not a trainer, I'm just a gas engineer. I've done this job a long time, or I'm a plumber, whatever you want to tag me or name me as. There's this great debate about engineers, and you can't call yourself a gas engineer. I trained to be a plumber, so we're a plumber. That's my little rant anyway. Yeah, so I'm not a trainer. I'm just trying to help new people into the industry, and people that's been doing it a long time as well, to be honest. In my opinion, there's a lot of people that are doing this job that need more training, should I say, in a polite way. So I just try and share my knowledge, and if I do something wrong, then I'm happy to put my head above parapet and let people, you know, try and pull me down or whatever, if that helps people. So yeah, so as I say, I'm not a trainer. If you're going to work on a boiler, you must be gas safe registered or competent to do so. If you are a trainee, don't go into the kitchen or your bathroom now and start stripping your boiler down. Don't do that. What I would advise you to do is go to the scrapyard or go to the scrapman, get an old boiler, get that boiler, strip it down, and start trying to understand what the components are. Get the instructions, look at all the components, see what they are. You can test the components as well, so you can phone manufacturers, you can ask what certain readings need to be on the components, and you can test them with a multimeter. So as you're doing your training, then hopefully you can go on your training course with a little bit more of of a start, if you like. And you know, knowledge is power. Lots of people are doing videos now on YouTube. Watch all of them, watch everybody's videos, but please read the installation instructions, because what I found is I've seen other people's videos, even my videos that I've done in the past, and some of them are factually wrong. So watch them videos by all means, but read the installation instructions and get information from the manufacturers just to confirm that it's correct. So anyway, let's strip some more of this down. So in the Ideal Vogue, we've got a stainless steel heat exchanger, and then we've got this burner door here. I'm going to take this burner door off now, but I'd be really interested to know, what do you think about stainless steel? Do you prefer stainless steel heat exchangers, or do you prefer aluminium heat exchangers? Please put a comment below and let me know. So what we're going to do now, just going to take this gas pipe off here. There's a big copper pipe on this one, just a couple of clips. I'll just take this clip off here, and then just take this clip off here, and then this pipe here will just lift out, which is a bit awkward, and I've got to hold the camera. That just lifts out. We've then got a couple of connections, some wire plugs. Just be careful with these. What you're doing is you're pushing, I don't know if you can see, this is a bit awkward, but you're pushing this, it lifts that clip up, and then you can just pull it off that little tag in there. And then we've got another clip here, and again we're just pushing that in and just nice and carefully pull that out. Just pull that off, and then we've just got these here. I'm just going to show you a little video now. These are a little bit of a gimmick. It's a spark plug, what you can buy for spark plugs, just to test spark plugs. If you have a look on here, you can see when it starts to ignite or try and ignite. So you can see that the spark generator is working. So we removed the power leads off there. This is a dead boiler, but if it were a live boiler, obviously you'd have done your safety checks, TB118. Please search for TB118. We have done videos on safe isolation and making sure you're safe when you're working inside a boiler. I'm just going to take leads off here. Then got a 10mm socket there. We'll just undo these nuts off here with a 10mm socket, which I've already just slackened them off already. We did do, when this first came out, this boiler, we actually went to Ideal and we did a competition of how quickly you can strip one of these down. And I think somebody did it in about 24 seconds or something like that. So for servicing, there's no reason why you wouldn't service them correctly. Because they're just so quick and easy to work on. I actually really like these boilers, really do. Also the Baxi Platinum is very similar, the heat exchanger is very similar, although stripping it down is not quite as quick, but it is still very quick. And then we'll just take the burner out there. Now bearing in mind this has been removed from a customer's house. Why, I have no idea, but it looks like it's, you know, it looks like it'd be okay, although there's a bit of damage there. We'll have a look at that. I'll zoom into that and I'll show you that. Don't know if you can see on there, it might be a bit hard to see on video, but the actual insulation pad on there, it looks like somebody's tried to cut it or scrape it off or something. Yeah, strange. So that's your fan, that's your burner. Let's have a look inside. If we have a look inside here, actually looks like it's damaged in there. I'm guessing that they've had a blocked condensate at some point. there's certainly been something wrong with this. Poor installation, I would say, is the most likely cause, but I've no idea, I'm just guessing. Next, we're going to take out the gas valve. If you have a look here, this is a video that we did on gas valves, and this is from an Ideal engineer, and he's done a detailed video on gas valves. So if you want to know more about these gas valves, which gas valves fit which boilers, because there's a few different types of gas valves for the Ideal Logics and Ideal Vogues, then please check out that video. So this gas valve here, very easy. Couple of screws under here, there, I think it's there and there. I'm going to remove them now, and then we'll lift this tag out of there. I've just undone that clip just because it's on video and it's hard to do with one hand. So that's the gas valve. And as I say, if you are a trainee, watching that video from the Ideal engineer is absolutely brilliant. He works for Ideal and he's an engineer at Ideal, so he goes to broken boilers every day. So his knowledge on this is far superior to what my knowledge will ever be. So as I say, please check out that video. So now we'll have a look at the diverter cartridge on this and diverter head. I'll just take this pipe off that way. That's just your condensate pipe. So that's your condensate goes down the inside of the heat exchanger, down that, obviously down your pipe, into your condensate trap, and then out to your drain. So obviously frozen condensates, etc. So what we'll do now, we'll take this clip off. We did do a video recently on an Ideal Logic, how an Ideal Logic works, and that's got like a cut out section, so I'll show you that shortly. But what we'll do, we'll just take this head off here. So to take the head off on these, normally you'd push this down a little bit. I've just loosened it, obviously I'm doing it with one hand, so it's a bit difficult. And then you just take the clip out, and then you can take the diverter head off. These heads are the same in a lot of boilers, so it's worth just checking whether it's a 240 as well. Some of them are 240 and some of them are low voltage, so you need to just be careful. But that's your diverter head, and then that's got a little motor in there, and if you want it in heating or hot water, the pin in there will move. I think on this, if you push it down, it goes into hot water. We'll just check that. We'll take this off and have a look. So how that works is when the motor pushes down on there, on that pin inside, and as it pushes on that pin, can't do it when it's just a bit awkward, but the motor pushes down on that pin and it changes it from heating to hot water. I'll just show you, I'll just draw it on the board. So please excuse my my lovely drawings, but that's your valve, so that's your cartridge. And what you're doing is you're just trying to divert the water. So even like this is an easy way to show it. That's on a Worcester, and that on the Worcester it's just a paddle going from one to another. So you've got your flow coming from your heat exchanger, which I'll show you in the boiler shortly, and then the paddle decides which way it goes. So one way it goes to the plate heat exchanger and one way it goes to the central heating. So on this particular one here, you've got your valve there, and it's a little bit awkward to see there. Move my arm out of the way, I might be able to see a bit better. Turn it upside down. But as you move this pin in here, and by the way, they will leak over time. If you flush the system correctly, then they last longer. I have seen in one of the groups somebody who said they'd had 40 boilers leak. That was actually on a, I think it was on a Baxi 800. If you've got 40 of them that leak, I would say you need to have just a look at how you're installing the boilers, because I haven't had 40 in all the years I've done them. I've probably had one or two. So anyway, going back to how this works, on this one, it actually looks like it's the opposite way around to such as the on the backsies. So on this one, the hot water goes down that side. So if you imagine your pipe comes down, your flow from the main heat exchanger, which I'll show you again in a minute, it goes into this here, which is this part of it here. And then as this goes up and down here, there, as that goes up and down, that then decides which way the water's going to go. So if you imagine that in there, if this pushes down, then that'll open and it'll allow the water to then go around the flow for the central heating. If it's fully up, it's going to allow the flow to go around there, and that'll go around the plate heat exchanger. So I hope that makes some sense. But whichever boiler it is and whichever way around the valve goes, it's sort of irrelevant. It's all doing the same thing. So if we have a look on here, this is the flow pipe going down, and it goes into the diverter mould, the brass part there. And then, as I say, that's the cartridge. So if you imagine the cartridge on there, you can see it's in line with this copper pipe here. And then all that's happening is it's just deciding which way it goes in here. And one way, what it'll do is it'll go round. If we just stick that in there, we just have a look underneath. There, so that's just a spanner. So what that would mean is it's come round there, and then it's going round the floor for the heating. And then the other way around would be, it would go down this one here, and it would go around the plate heat exchanger here. And I'll take this out shortly and I'll show you how that works as well. This hydro block is out of the Ideal Logic, the old style Ideal Logic. But again, it works totally different, but exactly the same. It's just diverting the water from one source to another. How does the boiler know that it needs to heat the hot water? So what happens is you open your hot tap, and the water comes in here from the cold, starts to go through the plate heat exchanger, and then it's going out to the hot tap. So that's going to be cold until the boiler tells it to start. And then what you've got here, you've got an Hall effect sensor. We just take that off there, and if we take this cartridge out of here, so that's the flow turbine, your domestic hot water flow turbine. And as Roy said on previous videos, this spins round on there, and then that senses, and then it's got that sensor that goes on the top of it, and then that's how it tells the circuit board or the boiler to then move the diverter valve if need be, and also fire the boiler up. So if you've got no hot water on a boiler, then that could be one of the issues. And these different, on different boilers you can get different types of these, but more or less they're doing the same thing. You need some sort of sensor. You need some sort of sensor to say you've opened the hot tap for the boiler to work, otherwise the boiler wouldn't know. So just a little recap on that. You've got the pump here, or the circulator. It makes the water go in this direction, round there, into the boiler, round that coil in there. This is actually a multi-pass coil, but we'll talk about that on a different video. You've got your heat from your burner here, heat coming out, heats this coil, heats the water in here. Then it comes out of here, and it goes to whichever you've decided, or the boiler's decided it needs to go. So if it's got a demand for heating, it'll go around the heating. If it's got a demand for hot water, it'll go around the plate heat exchanger. Just one thing to point out, in a combi boiler, it's always going to have hot water priority. So if it's somewhere that's got a high demand for hot water, then sometimes a combi might not be the best solution. So that's just one thing to consider. If we have a look there as well, we've got an expansion vessel. We've done plenty of videos now on expansion vessels, so I'm not going to take that out and say out about that too much. You've got your pump on the Vogue. This is actually, I think the 70, yeah, 1570 in these. So it's a bigger pump than in some boilers. So like in the, I think in the back seat's a 1560 maybe. You've got your PRV at the back there. Just show you a little picture with one of them. And this is just a little cutout that Roy's kindly done for us. And that just shows you a PRV, pressure relief valve. So that releases the pressure if the boiler gets too much pressure. And same as in other boilers, you've also got a pressure sensor. So that's just so the boiler knows the pressure. So if there were no pressure in this boiler, then the boiler wouldn't work and it'd bring up a fault code. In this particular boiler, I think it says contact installer on the front of it. They're quite advanced, these boilers, compared to some boilers. If you look at some boilers such as the Worcester Bosch boiler, they don't have a low pressure switch on certainly on the older boilers, and I think maybe the new 8000 may have one. The problem with that is, or the good thing about it with this boiler, it's not going to dry fire. With a Worcester, if there were no water in, it could still fire, and it could damage the boiler. So in my opinion, it's better to have the sensor in than not have a sensor on. And if we have a look on the back here, we've got this auto air vent. So that just twists out. Obviously, I've only got one hand, so I've had to do it, twist it out off camera. But what did Roy say? So for the people that watch all the videos, should we have the air vent open, or should we have the auto air vent closed? Please put your comment below. Let me know what you would do. Also, if you could, also tell me what Roy said in our previous video. It'd be really interesting to see who's been watching. If we have a look at this, you can see that this boiler hasn't been put on the best system because it's inside of it's very mucky. At the back here, we've got the plate heat exchanger. So I'm just going to take this out. This is a 4mm Allen key for this. One thing to show you in here, bearing in mind that this is the cold mains side of the block, of the Harrier block if you like. You can see the hole there. So that hole there, cold mains comes up here, goes through the part that spins, goes through into there, and then it goes into that plate heat exchanger at the top. So this part of the plate heat exchanger would have cold water in it. So that cold water goes in here, and then it mixes. Well, it doesn't mix, it's got a plate in between, but it transfers the heat from, the hot water from the central heating transfers the heat into that water. I'll try and explain that. I'll take it off and I'll explain that. But what I wanted to show you, the main thing I want to show you here is the cold mains part is the top one on this particular plate heat exchanger. A lot of the ones I normally take off, the cold is at the bottom, and then the cold comes in at the bottom, goes across there, and then it gets hotter as the flow goes across there, if that makes sense. But we'll have a look at that shortly. So as I've said on this, you've got your cold mains comes in and it comes out of this here as hot water. So what it does is the flow from the central heating, well, it's not really central heating, but it's the same water as the central heating in the diverter. That water goes through the plate heat exchanger, so it gets, the hot part of it is here and the hot water side of it is here, and as that goes down, it's transferring the heat into this side of it. So I'm not the best. I'm not a trainer. I'm not a teacher, but I'm just trying to explain it best I can, really. But what you're doing is the water cannot mix, because obviously you'd get sludgy black water coming out of your taps. So what you've got a load of little plates like that, and what it does is you've got your water that would be the central heating water that goes through the plate heat exchanger, and then the other side of the plate, if you like, but there's lots and lots of plates, but it makes it so none of them mix. And then the flow comes in, it goes through the plate heat exchanger, and then that goes back to the boiler, back to into the heat exchanger, and then it's transferring the heat into the cold mains. I hope you understand that. As I say, I'm not the best at, I'm not a trainer, I'm just trying to help best I can. One thing to point out with this is, you probably can't see in there. I don't know if you can see or not. Probably not. But in there, it's absolutely filthy. There's chunks of black. So it's obviously not been on the best system. So I hope I've helped a little bit. I hope you've learned a little bit. If you do have any questions, please put them in the comments below. As I say, I'm not a trainer. I just try and help if I can. Yeah, I hope this video has been of some interest. Thanks for watching. You stunt double again, right?